Welcome back to In the House with Beth and Ryan. I'm Beth, and this is Ryan.
Today, we're going to talk about a few different things. We're going to talk about some of the things that are going on with us over the next few weeks or even a month.
Including fashion faux pas.
Including
stripes and checkers.
Stripes and checkers, yes. Things that we are doing that will hopefully help buyers and sellers of real estate in Guelph. Some of the information and initiatives that we have coming. And then we're going to talk a little bit about the market itself and how it is going so far year to date. So we have three things that are upcoming that we want to talk about. One of them is that we have finally, after many years, launched a Guelph real estate podcast. The audience is not going to be huge. It is not going to
be... Maybe one day.
Maybe one day there's going to be millions of people that are interested in Guelph real estate, but that's not really the goal. The goal is to take what we already do, so from videos to articles to everything else we do, and put it into an audio format. The episodes are not meant to be long. It's not fancy, but it just gives another way that people can get information on the real estate market.
So, kind of like what we're doing here, but delving a little deeper into different topics.
So neighborhood information, more in depth with data that we can talk about in a little bit of a different way. And so the first few episodes are up. We're going to link it below. And we have lots of content. Some of it's already recorded, but lots of different things we can talk about in the coming weeks and months and hopefully years. And then the second one is that we are going to be hosts for GuelphToday's new initiative called Spaces. They asked us if we would be a host for their real estate category, and it is coming probably within the next month. But it is a unique format that they have coming to try to create more conversation around a wide range of topics, real estate being one of them. And the goal around it is it would sort of be a hybrid between maybe social media, old school message boards, and maybe even Reddit.
It's more of a two-way conversation where people can ask questions and we'll respond, as opposed to us just talking about the things that we find interesting. It's more of a two-way conversation.
And then the third?
The third one is we have coming up this week is WallerWednesday, where Ryan and I get to go on to Magic and talk to Lisa and Brent at 9 a.m. about all things real estate. We always look forward to it. It's the last Wednesday of every month, live at 9 a.m.
Yeah, and it is live, so there's no going back. So whatever comes up, comes up. Feel free to, I think you can call and text in questions if you have them. But we tend to take some of the topics that are coming up since the last time we were there in the last 1 month period and talk about them on the air and try to bring things that would bring value to the listeners. So if you're around, Wednesday at 9 a.m., 106.1, we'll be there. The second part of this video we wanted to talk about is what's going on in the market. And this time it's especially interesting because it's great news for buyers.
Right.
The market has been quite soft. And in the podcast episode that I just created, we talked about the average number of sales per day in February in Guelph over the past 5 years. And I can't remember the numbers off the top of my head, but starting in 2020, they were 7.9 homes per day. And then 2021 was 8.8 and then 8.8 and then 5.4 and then 4.9. But this year, you know what the number is?
It's 3 something.
3.6.
3.6. So what we're seeing is as spring is approaching, even though it doesn't look like that out the window right now, as the spring market is approaching and inventory levels are starting to climb, we're not seeing houses sell through. So typically at this point in the year, like Ryan said, over the last handful of years, we're seeing 5+ houses a day sell, and we're well below 4 this year so far. So it's a particularly slow market out there at this moment.
Yeah. And so as Beth mentioned, inventory is climbing, not as many buyers. I mean, it's probably due to a wide variety of things. I think the biggest one for most people is the ongoing threat of tariffs from the U.S. And it's crazy to think that it would impact the Guelph real estate market, but it does have a big impact. There was an article that I had read that talked about the regions that it would most likely be impacted by tariffs, and Guelph, KW, Cambridge was one of them, just because we rely so heavily on those things, and so the products. So
Well, we rely really heavily on people to a large extent who are making a bigger change. So moving from the GTA, for example, in the last bunch of years. And I think what we're seeing now is that people are feeling a little, I don't know if the word is nervous, but people are kind of sitting tight and waiting for things to feel more settled and like they know what the future has to hold. And right now, when people don't feel that way, I think they're reluctant to make a move unless life dictates it, which obviously there's lots of situations people are always moving when they have to, but those kind of more optional moves seem to be on hold. That's my take.
Yeah, it's true. People don't want to sort of rock the boat. And if things are going okay, they don't want to make major changes that could be a mistake. And so instead of doing something like that could potentially work out, not work out, they are just not doing anything. And then tied to that in a way are the interest rates. And so there's not another interest rate announcement until mid-March, but there are still a lot of people that are coming up to a renewal soon. And they are reluctant to do anything in the given moments because they're just not sure what to expect with the market. They're not sure what to expect with interest rates. They may have a low interest rate and they don't want to move to a higher payment. So those are reasons that the market may be slow. I think it's probably going to continue into the spring. I don't anticipate any big change.
We always see, we will most likely still see a bit of a pickup because spring is typically the busiest season, May in particular. So I think we'll probably see numbers increase to a certain extent. But if you're comparing it to last spring and prior springs in recent years, it'll be slow.
It'll probably be slower. And I was referring to more so prices going up, which of course is what sellers always want. And sellers historically, if their house doesn't sell in November or December, they relist it in the spring in anticipation of a hotter market, as in higher prices.
Right.
We may get more sales through, but we don't anticipate they're going to be at significantly higher prices. In fact, they will probably be slightly lesser than last year. But there are two sides. Beth and I always talk about this. There are two sides to a real estate transaction. And so, this case, it's not all bad news because buyers, for one time in the past 10 or 15 years, I mean, this will be a great spring, I think, for buyers. So those who are on the sidelines may start to investigate things like getting a mortgage pre-approval or trying to figure out how they get into the market. Is it a great time to buy? I don't know. Is it going to get worse or better? I don't know. But if you're a buyer, it might be time to start thinking about it at least because it's the best chance it's been in a little while.
Right.
Anything else to add to that?
No, I think it's also important just to remember that, like Brian said, there's two sides to every transaction. So also if you're somebody who is doing both sides, so you're buying and selling, you're always going to kind of win on one side. So it's not that it's a bad time to make a move. It's just, it's good to think about the big picture of everything that's going on so that you do it in the most strategic way possible.
Yeah. There's no sense in trying to time the market as in like finding the absolute bottom. It's whenever it works best for you.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, with that, as always, you can find us on our website at bethandryan.ca, and we have links to all of our things there now. We have our blogs, even our podcast link will be there, and feel free to reach out if you have any questions. Interesting.